Good morning. Happy New Year, everyone. I don't know about you. I am so happy that we are in a brand new year. If any of you follow the Chinese zodiac, we are moving out of the year of the snake into the year of the horse. And I am, for one, are so happy. I had one of the worst years ever last year. Kind of think I manifested it because in November of 2024, I was very insistent that 2025 was going to be a difficult, horrible year. And that's exactly what it was. It was a difficult, horrible year. So I'm so happy to be in 2026. This is a new, fresh start for everybody. This is a fresh start for us internally, individually, as living souls and living beings. This is a fresh start for organizations. So today, I really want to talk about how attachment and trauma shape everything that we do. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to prove it to you. So let's talk a little bit about attachment and trauma. You may not realize this yet, but your attachment style and your trauma patterns show up in everything that you do. Not just relationships, not just friendships, and everything that you do, including at work. So every decision, every relationship, every leadership moment, even the silence, even the things that you're telling yourself doesn't matter, trust me, they show up. So if you don't believe me, I want you to give me a couple of minutes because I'm going to prove it to you. Nobody wakes up and says, let's run my career and my relationship through my childhood wounds today. But that's exactly what we're doing. And if you don't recognize the patterns, it can be extremely detrimental. It can be detrimental to the relationships that you're having with people personally. It can be detrimental to the relationships that you're having in work. And I know this work personally, inside and out, not just professionally. So I want to tell you a little bit about my journey because I'm not sharing, right? Sharing is caring. So there was a point in my life when I thought operating from emotion was good. And let me preface this by saying operating from emotion is not bad. It's only bad when you're operating from fear-based emotion. So I grew up believing that I had to overperform just to be chosen, and to be valued and to feel safe. And so I became this fixer, right? Like, okay, I got to fix everything right now, immediately, every day, every second. So I kind of became this person that like handles everything. And like projecting out these fear-based thoughts and emotions that I had and that we all have from trauma. So underneath that, I was anxious all the time. I mean, literally all the time. And I tied my worth to really being needed. And I never slowed down long enough to ask myself if anyone even knew me beyond what I could do for them. And that pattern didn't just like stay in childhood, as it never does with any of us. It followed me into relationships. It followed me into leadership positions, with jobs that I had. It followed me into building my own business. And it really was just a lot of overthinking, silence that always felt like rejection, and working twice as hard for half the emotional return. Um, and it was just survival, right? And so when stress showed up in any type of way, when money got tight, when relationships felt unstable, when clients were clientele was like low, or when life was getting heavy, I could feel those old patterns like running the show. It was like, nope, like we want to run the show and we're gonna run the show into the ground, basically. And that's when I realized attachment trauma doesn't just sit in one corner of your life, it shapes your entire nervous system. And our attachment trauma really determines, you know, how we love, how we lead, how we communicate, um, how we pull away, how we fight for connection or don't fight for connection or run away from connection. Um, and so, you might not realize it yet, but your attachment style and your trauma patterns are showing up in everything that you do. And we all have attachment styles and we all have trauma patterns. Sorry, no one's absolved. So every decision, every conflict, every relationship, every leadership moment, every conversation, every boundary that you set, even boundaries that you avoid, are your attachment style and your trauma patterns. So I'm going to prove it to you because here's the truth. We don't leave our emotional history at the door. We're bringing it into the boardroom. We're bringing it into Zoom meetings. We're bringing it into text messages. We're bringing it into our relationships. We're bringing it into the arguments. We're bringing it into the silences that we have, the apologies that we have. We're even bringing it into the way that we chase success or sabotage it. And you can't outlead or outwork or outpray an attachment pattern. You can't. And it will run into you. And it will run into you full force. And that will kind of start your journey of learning how to recognize it. So let me break it down, okay? Because there are 4 attachment style patterns that we all have. And once I break this down, you're going to immediately know which one you are. So let me start with my favorite one, which is the one that I resonated with the most, which is anxious leading, like anxious leading. So an anxious attachment style. Okay, so for anxious people that have that attachment style, they don't just want clarity, they need clarity to feel safe. And so this looks like over explaining in every aspect of your life. Over explaining at work, over explaining in relationships, apologizing too much, assuming silence means something is wrong. In relationships, they feel everything so intensely. They feel love intensely and fear and excitement and abandonment. And if you have an anxious style attachment, you anticipate rejection before it even happens. It's almost like you manifest the rejection, right? Because you're precipitating on it, oh, this person's going to leave me, this person's going to leave me, they don't love me, they don't love me, they don't love me. And if you know anything about manifestation, and if you know anything about we are our thoughts that we put out, we're the operant power. Yes, if you're manifesting or thinking about something all the time, you can definitely make it appear in your real world, right? And up in your life. So yeah, that's anxious, right? That it's like running on a 100-speed train, full stop ahead. Now let's talk about avoidance, okay? My avoidant leaning attachment style people. So avoidant leaning attachment style people don't hate commitment. They just fear losing themselves in the commitment. So staying in control is so important to them. They need to keep distance. They choose logic over vulnerability. They get really irritated when people need them emotionally, almost to the point where they're like, look, I can't even deal with my own emotions. Don't be bringing yours over here. And in the workplace, an avoidant leaning person, they delay difficult conversations. Like they avoid their coworkers, especially coworkers that they don't get along with. Like their motto is, if I don't got to see you and interact with you, I can just avoid you, then I can have a good day. So they definitely delay having any type of difficult conversations with coworkers. They shut down immediately when they are overwhelmed. And they call it efficiency when it's really self protection. And then you have the fearful avoidant. So the fearful avoidant is someone that wants closeness deeply, but that closeness also scares the crap out of them. So they push and they pull, they connect, they retreat, they show up, they disappear, and their nervous system is fighting a battle in their minds that they can't always explain. And then secure, which is the one that we all want to be. And I want to be very clear here. People are not born secure attachment style. People will transition into secure attachment style when they realize that their current attachment style is no longer serving them in any areas of their life. So my favorite, the one that I've been working very hard to be and have transitioned into is secure. And secure attachment styles, they just navigate life with more steadiness, right? It's not that they don't get stressed out. It's not that they don't have negative thoughts, but they're just so emotionally regulated that they're just able to process things differently. And the thing about secure is that they're able to interact with any attachment style because they're so rooted and grounded within themselves that they're just able to just stay centered. And they're able to repair and rebuild very quickly in a very healthy way. But what can sometimes happen is that people can like shift, right? So they can be secure, but if they get put into a very emotional situation, then they can transition back into old wounds. Also, people can have two different attachment styles. You can be dismissive, fearful, avoidant, and so you can have those dismissive qualities and those fearful qualities. You can just be anxious, or you can be anxious, fearful. And honestly, though, the thing to know about our attachment styles is that they really were developed when we were younger as protection mechanisms that we needed. So, based on your caregivers and your environment, that's where your attachment style got developed. And so, if you were in a household where you didn't feel emotionally safe, where your parents weren't around, or that they checked out, or anytime that you had an emotional reaction to something, you got punished for it or ignored. All these things start to like build up inside of us, where we start to learn, okay, I need to protect myself from feeling this bad, and this is what I'm going to do. And then that's how we go into the 4 different attachment styles. So either you're anxious, you're dismissive avoidant, you're fearful avoidant, or you've learned about your attachment styles that I have, and you transition into secure. So I want to talk about trauma, not as an event, but as a pattern. So trauma is not what happened. Trauma is what your body decided it needed to do to keep you alive. And those survival decisions are still living inside of you. So they show up in your leadership, in the way that you're running your teams. They're showing up in your relationships and your communication style and your money habits and your confidence and your risk tolerance and your conflict responses. They're showing up in everything. And trauma teaches you, I'm on my own. I have to work twice as hard to earn connection. Needing help makes me weak. People leave. People always disappoint me. Asking for support is a burden. If I relax, something bad will happen. So I have to stay hyper vigilant. And whether you realize it or not, your decisions still bend around those beliefs. So when people say, oh, my childhood doesn't affect me, or that relationship that I have is in the past, or I'm fine, I just don't trust people, people disappoint me all the time, people are going to leave, I just smile gently because here's the truth that you need to hear. Your attachment style is not a personality trait, it is a survival map. It tells me everything about how you move through the world when connection feels uncertain. And it shows up in how you love, how you argue, how you lead, how you grieve, how you respond to success, how you respond to disappointment, how you show up when things are feeling good, and how you run when things feel too good. And this is why my work exists. Whether I'm helping organizations stabilize their leadership and culture or guiding people through healing beyond the trauma story, this is my passion, right? This is I like got into understanding attachment styles based off of my own attachment styles, right? Like I literally like noticed that whatever was going on with me and my attachment styles, it was not doing me any good. It wasn't doing me in my business, my career, love life, nothing. And so I was like, I'm going to actually figure out what is really going on. I'm going to fix this, right? And I think that at the end of the day, that's all we want. We really want to, fix what's going on. We want to see our patterns clearly because once we can see our patterns clearly, then we're able to choose differently. Then we're able to make different choices. We're able to show up differently in our relationships. We're able to show up differently at work, and we're able to be the best versions of ourselves without all of that trauma and needing to protect ourselves. That doesn't come up anymore. You don't need to protect yourself from anything anymore. You got it. You're like, I'm good, right? And so it's really important to know this because you communicate differently after you go through this, right? You're able to communicate instead of shutting down. You can set really healthy boundaries instead of exploding or instead of not setting boundaries at all. You're able to ask for help without shame. You can let love in without fear, without thinking, oh, someone's going to abandon me or somebody's going to disappoint me or whatever. Like you can fully experience love and relationships in a healthy way. You can lead from clarity instead of reactivity. You can make decisions that align so well with your future and not your old wounds. And so here's the best part. Attachment styles can evolve. Nobody is married to their attachment style. Trauma patterns can heal. Your nervous system can learn safety. Your relationships can shift in a very positive way. Your leadership style can deepen and your life can change in so many ways that you've never imagined. I always say that 2026 is the year of alignment. Everything has been so aligned with me this year, but that's because I got into alignment with myself. And once you get into alignment with yourself, everything falls into place. So it starts with awareness. It starts with having an honest conversation with yourself. And it starts with saying, okay, maybe this is showing up in my life. Maybe I am having attachment style and trauma that are showing up in every aspect of my life. And I'm ready to look at it and I'm ready to do something different. So if you're ready for that level of self-honesty and that level of growth and that level of expansion, come sit with me, come work with me. I love doing this work. I'm so passionate about it. And I want to talk about the patterns that are running your life. And then I want to rewrite them because once you name your patterns, you can finally change your story. And I told you before, attachment and trauma show up in everything that we do. Everything that we do. But this is the truth. With the right support, it doesn't have to run your life anymore. And so once I finally recognized my own attachment styles and my own trauma patterns, like not the surface level symptoms, but the deeper emotional blueprints that were driving my decisions, everything in my life shifted. And I mean, it shifted like that. And so I realized, okay, it's not that I'm too emotional, but you can get emotionally dysregulated. And how do you use your emotions for good and not bad, right? How do you use and turn your emotions into strength? And so, I realized that, and it was simply navigating a world using strategies that my nervous system built to survive. And once I healed those patterns, once I understood where they came from, why they were showing up, and how they were shaping everything from my relationships to the way that I ran my business, I became completely obsessed with helping other people do the same because it was so freeing. I felt so free, like all of those fears and that attachment just like disappeared. And so this is not a hobby for me. This is not a trend. This is something that I fell into because I was in a relationship where things got a little much. And it really elevated me to really take a look and say, okay, there's some work, there's some internal work that's got to be done. Let's do it. Let's do it for ourselves because we want to feel better, because we want to show up as the best versions of ourselves at work. We want to show up as the best versions of ourselves in relationships. And so this is my passion. This is my life's work, helping people name the patterns ruining their lives, breaking cycles that they thought were permanent, stepping into secure, grounded, emotionally mature versions of themselves. It's the work that I was born to do. And I always say, if I didn't get triggered onto this journey that I had to go on, I never would have realized how passionate I am about doing this work. And so to deepen that calling that I have, I recently became certified in industrial organizational psychology. And the reason why I wanted to get certified is so that I can bridge trauma-informed healing with leadership and organizational development and the real human behaviors that shape workplace culture and performance. Because healing isn't just personal, it's professional. It changes how you love, how you lead, how you communicate, how you set boundaries, how you show up in every room that you enter. So if you're ready to understand your patterns, if you're ready to feel free and enlightened, if you're tired of repeating those same emotional cycles over and over and over again until over almost doesn't sound like a word anymore, if you want healthier relationships, clearer boundaries, calmer reactions, you want to be stronger, a more grounded, centered, emotionally regulated version of yourself, let's work together. Book a coaching session with me. Let's uncover what's really driving your relationship choices, your career choices, your business choices, not to judge it, but to transform it. Because once you recognize the pattern, you can finally rewrite your story. And you deserve so much, we all do, a story that is rooted in clarity and safety and confidence and connection. So click below in the link to schedule a coaching session with me, because your next level of healing starts the moment that you say yes to it. And I promise you, you will feel so grounded, so centered, and you will show up so differently in the way that you just interact with everyone. So I hope to see and talk to everybody soon. I'll see you in the next video. Please book a coaching session and have a wonderful, beautiful, blessed day.